it's almost like he didn't get the memo. He actually acts.
Right.
You know, and you're like, what is this guy? Oh, acting. What?
I guess 5 different endings were shot for the movie, and then and the released one is the tamest one. Or does that say lamest one?
He
I know,
gets
he's
nominated
nominated
for
a lot.
something
I know.
almost every year.
I know.
But he has such haters. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Here we are again, the most wonderful time of the year. No, it's not the holidays. It's Oscar time, and it's time for the annual Skeletons in the Closet. Welcome. This is the Fright Club podcast, and she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we're from madwolf.com, and this started many, many years ago.
Oh, forever ago.
When we started having fun every time at Oscar time, because we just noticed that pretty much everyone who's nominated for an Oscar has a bad horror movie in their past. Some have many.
Yes.
And sometimes, honestly, you do have to look deep.
You do.
They're buried in there, but
Yeah.
they're almost always there. And so we have fun every year at this time doing a podcast about it. There's skeletons in the closet. Maybe they're proud of them.
That's right.
Maybe not. But it's it's their journey on the way to an Oscar nomination. So whatever happened, it all worked out well. And we've got some good ones this time. And, of course, we'll talk a little bit about the Oscars, which are coming up soon, what the competition is, if this person is going to win. Let's see what we do. But so that's this time out, and we're glad you're here. And last time out, we were in front of that great Gateway crowd, and, boy, we watched some kind of movie called Wake in Fright when we talked about towns that won't let go.
Yeah, it was a tough movie to program. We've thought about it a number of times. We finally, it makes our list periodically because it's just such a memorable film, and it does so many fascinating things. And the last time out that we talked about it, it came up, in a podcast, and we just sort of gauged the audience, and no one there had ever seen it. Not on a big screen, not at all. No one. So we're like, okay, we're going to have to get it. But it is, if you are going to watch it, I mean, it's a fascinating movie. It's incredibly well made, but you need to know that, they do actually shoot kangaroos.
Yeah.
It was part of a planned thinning, that the
there's
government does.
There's a very interesting disclaimer at the end of the movie
And then
talking about it.
the
But still,
bru-
it's hard to watch.
But also the brutality that you see, that's all
Yeah.
editing. They don't really bludgeon, and you know what I mean? Like, but it's a tough. So that was our first ever trigger warning.
Right.
Anyway, just know it if you go into it. But it's a fascinating movie, and also I want to thank Maddie. Lovely to see her as always. And she brought up, and I can't believe that we forgot this completely because it's the whole point of the movie.
Right. Vivarium. Yeah, that was just a few years ago.
It was, and I just can't believe that we didn't even think about it.
Yeah,
Seth,
they really couldn't leave.
Yeah, no. And then Seth brought up Men, which is a great suggestion and also a great movie. I love that movie.
That
Gorgeous.
was so good. Yeah. But very interesting. It was an interesting topic, and a very, very interesting topic and fun to dig into. And despite how tough it can be to watch, really interesting and fascinating to watch that movie on the big screen with so many people who had not seen it. Almost everyone.
Yeah, and it is quite a movie to watch. It is it's so uncomfortable. It's
like a nightmare. This guy cannot leave.
Yeah, it is.
The yabba.
And it's my favorite Donald Pleasance performance.
Yeah.
He's
really
so
good.
many. He's in so many horror movies. He's so many good ones, so many bad ones, whatever. But in that one, you're like, oh damn, he can act.
Yeah, and it's such a weird and. Well, everybody's dirty, everybody's sweaty, and everybody's drunk.
Drunk.
But he's almost Oliver Reed-like.
Oh, yeah.
In his unseemly manner.
Oh, yeah.
But yet he's the town doctor.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, man, we're in trouble. So anyway, thanks for the great crowd. We look forward to doing it again next month. Every month we do the Fright Club Live at Gateway Film Center. If you're in the area at all of Columbus, Ohio, please come see us. But yes, it is Oscar time, and boy, we've got the benefit of having the SAG. Just last night was the SAG Awards,
right?
As we tape this, so definitely got some insight into who we think might win from the SAGs because we always look at that.
Oh yeah,
to see. So we'll dig in. We've got some fantastic nominees who have just done some incredible work this year and deserve to be nominated, and they also deserve to be spotlighted for their horror past.
That's right.
Even if they're not that great. Skeletons in the Closet. So there are some that didn't quite make the list, but definitely worth a mention. And that is one of our favorite nominees this year, Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we love Poor Things. That was our favorite movie of 2023.
Yeah,
Poor
great
Things.
movie.
And one of my favorite aspects was seeing Mark Ruffalo be so great in a role you would never have predicted him
Right.
to play.
Right.
It was such a weird role for him. Love him.
And he's up for Best Supporting Actor.
He is.
So glad he got a nomination. If I were voting, I would vote for him.
Yeah, he's
I
my
don't
favorite.
think he's going to win.
No, he's my favorite in that category for
Yeah.
sure. I don't think he's going to win either. And the thing is that he's a co-star years ago in the movie The Dentist, right? Corbin Burnson is an insane dentist, and it's not a very good movie.
Right.
But the thing is that we've talked about it before because he's,
His
of course,
debut,
Ruffalo
yeah.
has been nominated before. So it didn't make the list this year because there are, others we wanted to squeeze in. I mean, actually, I'm quite a fan of that film. Stuart Gordon movie. We
Yeah.
met him once.
Yeah.
Lovely man. And Ruffalo has got the sweater over his shoulders tied in front of him, and he's one. It's almost like he didn't get the memo. He actually acts,
Right.
and you're like, what is this guy? Oh, acting. What? So it's fun. And,
Yeah.
he's got a fun role in that, and that's always a fun one. And then of course, a lot of the actors who get nominated are in some, particularly this year, some of the greatest horror
Good
films
movies,
ever
yeah.
made.
So
right?
those don't count.
No.
Those are not skeletons in the
No,
closet.
but we want to celebrate them because anytime I can talk about The Silence of the Lambs,
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do that. And actually, Jodie Foster has made The Little Girl That Lives Down the Lane is not a good film.
No.
It wasn't bad enough to make this list, but that's worth a mention as well. But not only Silence of the Lambs, 28 Days Later, Cillian Murphy, that's another one of the all-time greatest horror films.
Hmm. And also, he was in A Quiet Place Part 2,
Yeah, it was
which
pretty
is
good.
very good. And Red Eye, which is
Yeah, it's not very good. It's not nearly bad enough to make this
the
list.
skeleton, right.
Yeah, but
Those are worth a mention.
For sure.
But some good films. But no, we're all about the skeletons this time out. And and before we dig into this, speaking of disclaimers of our own, we totally realize that there are all sorts of factors that go into who's going to win the Oscars. We get it. It's not a meritocracy. There's politicking. There's all kinds of backstabbing and crap. We get it. We do this because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to talk about.
Oh, yeah,
So
for sure.
we enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
All right? Let people enjoy things. And that's why we're doing it. So we'll dig into number 5 in our list of Skeletons in the Closet 2024. And this is a movie from 1999, and it's a suburban housewife learns that she has a dream world connection to a serial murderer and must stop him from killing again. 2, this is double up
That's
here.
right.
Oscar nominees this year, Annette Bening and Robert Downey Jr. in Dreams.
Have you considered that what she's saying might be true? I don't think my wife is making this up.
Get out of my brain. Get out of my brain. Get out of my brain. Leave me alone!
All I wanted was a family.
He wants to stop. He wants me to stop him.
No! What's happening, Claire?
I dreamt it. And it's going to happen. The man I love,
What happens to him?
he dies.
I can live with that.
Okay, so Robert Downey Jr., he's up for Best Supporting Actor this year. We just talked about another nominee, Mark Ruffalo, and we think Robert Downey Jr. is going to win. He won last night the SAG Award. I don't think that was a big shock. I think it's a pretty good lock he's going to win Best Supporting Actor this year.
Yeah, so he's up against Ruffalo, of course. Also Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon. Sterling K. Brown. I was so glad to see him get nominated.
Yep.
For American Fiction, and then Ryan Gosling for Barbie.
Yeah, and this is just one of the this year, maybe, I don't know if it's recency bias, but it just seemed, I don't want to say more than any other, but it just seems like this year, so many of the categories are just stacked.
Yeah, they
I mean,
really
they're
are.
great.
They
And
are.
you're just splitting hairs
Yeah.
with some of these performances and some of these films. And man, every name you read off, I'm like, holy crap, they
I
were
know.
good.
Oh,
They
so
were- And that's
good.
going to continue in pretty much every category.
Yeah, it's true. But I do think, I think we both agree, especially with the SAG last night.
Oh,
like you
yeah.
said.
I think it's a lock.
I think that's pretty much of a lock. And of course, Robert Downey Jr., he's made Gothica, which was terrible.
Mhm.
And he also made the Zodiac, which was great.
Yep.
So he's got a handful of horror films in his past. Benning does not. This is really the only one that she did. And she's
Oh, she's up for Best Actress for Naiad, and she was very, very good.
She
very
was.
good. And if you haven't seen that film, it's on Netflix, and it's really worth checking out, especially if you don't know the story of Diana Naiad and the kind of person that she was. And Benning just nails it.
Yeah, we don't think she's going to win. We
No.
don't think she has a shot, actually. But I'm glad to see her in there. She's up against Carey Mulligan for Maestro, Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall, Emma Stone for Poor Things, and Lily Gladstone. I
Again,
know
what
for Killers of the Flower Moon.
What a
Crazy.
category!
It's crazy
God,
stacked.
just
Crazy
really
stacked.
fantastic performances. But this movie is not good, and actually, In Dreams, the co-writer, criticized the film after its release, and he said, quote, "It was a complete and utter mess from top to bottom. I thought Jennifer 8 was a low point, but Christ almighty, this hit the floor and dug," unquote. That's from the co-writer.
It's a funny thing because Neil Jordan directed this, and
Right.
it's based on a novel, and the novel is called Doll's Eyes. And I've not read the novel. I didn't look it up, but I mean, the fact that it's called Doll's Eyes suggests to me that the novel has metaphors that are not at play in this one. And the metaphors that are at play in this one are all over the place. There's apples everywhere for not any particular good reason. But one of the things that happens is that, of course, Neil Jordan, I mean, he's made some great movies, but one of the ones is Company of Wolves. This is one of his early sort of big, people love it. And it's a fairy tale. It's exactly what it is. So it feels to me like he is trying to create a fairy tale out of this film, not at all convincingly. It's just so hacked up, and it doesn't make any sense. And of course, Downey Jr. doesn't show up. He's not actually in the film until the third act, although he's everywhere in the trailer. So if they were trying to hide something from us, it didn't work. And the ending is so bad. It's got like a Candyman ending, and you're like, well, that doesn't fit with anything at all.
Yeah.
It's just not well made at all.
And this not a high point for Downey Jr. at all, because after his 1996 drug arrest, he'd been clean for most of 97, but during filming this, he relapsed back into drugs, and that threw his career into another downward spiral, which happily he has come out of now and doing some great work, and probably going to win, as we say. But this one, definitely a skeleton in the closet. It's almost, especially toward the end, as you say, it's almost campy. Like, what are you doing?
I know, and it's too bad because there is a lot of talent.
My Lord, yeah.
Neil Jordan, and these two, and the whole cast, it's an Aidan Quinn. I always love to see Aidan Quinn and stuff. And no part of it really works. It just feels so slapped together from a whole bunch of non-matching ideas.
Yeah. Yes, and that is In Dreams, a skeleton in the closet for both Annette Bening and Robert Downey Jr. from 1999. Okay, number 4 on our skeletons in the closet this year. Boy, this is a turd. Oh, man. This is a couple agreeing to have their deceased son cloned under the supervision of an enigmatic doctor, but bizarre things start to happen several years after his death. Robert De Niro in 2004's Godsend.
I don't want another child! I want Adam! I want him!
Excuse me. I'd like to help you.
Help us? My clinic has perfected a procedure by which a single cell could be used to create a genetically identical fetus. You can have him back.
There's something you're not telling us. Adam's changing. He's destructive. We talked about the possibility that things could change once Adam crossed the age at which he died. You set me up. You experimented with a human life.
I think I'm him!
Do you have any idea what you've done to my son? Adam! You think you can just open Pandora's box and then just close it again?
So De Niro, of course, who is also nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
For Killers of the Flower Moon, and he was great.
He was great.
Lately in the last several years, he has made some bad movies. But then a movie like this comes along, of course, working with his favorite director, Scorsese. You realize, holy crap, man, he can still bring it.
Yeah, you're reminded of just how great he can be.
Yeah.
But then, along the way, he just cashes some checks. This was a check that was
especially
being
the
cashed.
comedies. He does some awful, awful comedies. But he's great in this, and he's up against, well, we already said 2 of them. He's up against Ruffalo. He's up against Robert Downey Jr., Sterling K. Brown.
Yeah, and Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. So fantastic performances.
But he's made, of course, some great horror films. Cape Fear.
Oh, my.
Angel Heart, which is he's maybe not great, but it's very good. I'm a big fan, and he's great in it. He's great in Angel Heart. And he's made some bad movies. Hide and Seek, Frankenstein. Yeah. But this is the worst by far. And it's Greg Kinnear and Rebecca Romaine, and so it's not. And then also Cameron Bright. Do you remember him? He was everywhere for a while. Thank You for Smoking. He was like just the it kid for a while. He's in one of the X-Men movies, and he's not bad in this movie either. It's just a bad movie.
And it kind of reminded me. You just reminded me. Greg Kinnear. I mean, he was nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, he was.
For As Good as It Gets, and he's kind of disappeared over the last few years. And he was good.
Yeah.
He
has made some decent movies, and he's been good in them. I think in the last few years he makes a lot of faith-based films. Yeah, and so often those are just not.
A lot. But we have a soft spot for him going all the way back to he was the host. Remember when he hosted the show on the Comedy Central network? He was I think he was the first host of that Talk Soup.
Yeah.
And he was hilarious.
He was hilarious. We followed him to film because of that show.
He was great.
But, he was great.
Anyway, so this is really bad. And De Niro, I guess, had originally planned on just providing a brief cameo, but then the director, a guy named Nick Hamm, he heard De Niro would be interested, and then he asked De Niro to participate in a few more scenes that were all filmed in about a week. And apparently De Niro later regretted it because, of course, his name and likeness were all over the ad because it's De Niro.
Oh, yeah.
But it's one of those, cloning and the almost a changeling type thing. And there's Pet Sematary and so many type of these films, this type of horror. And this one is another one that is almost comical.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't do anything new or interesting.
No.
And so they coast along. And it's one of those movies where you just keep looking at these big, famous faces going, What possessed you to be in this film?
I guess 5 different endings were shot for the movie, and then and the released one is the tamest one. Or does that say lamest one? Tamest one.
And the worst thing I think for these, the most fun is when they're so bad that you get some sort of ironic enjoyment out of watching it.
Yeah.
This is not one of those, really. This is one that's also just quite boring. It's just bad. It's not well made. It's just dull.
Yeah, like where's the horror coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's for some reason in a horror movie, according to this, they released the tamest ending. Maybe she should have just gone for it.
Yeah.
Just go completely over the top.
Yeah.
But Godsend from 2004 and current Oscar nominee Robert De Niro. That is a bad one. So moving up to number 3, and this is from 2009, and it's a social worker fighting to save a girl from her abusive parents, only to discover that the situation is more dangerous than she ever expected. Bradley Cooper in Case 39.
People die around her. Not by her own hand. They just die.
Tell me what's going on.
He was killed last night.
Slaughtered would be a better word.
Scared. You ought to be.
Kill everything! You know I'm not crazy. Emily? They're waiting to get me. Go away! They'll never stop.
So the star of Case 39, of course, is 2-time Oscar winner Renee Zellweger.
Yeah.
It's one of your favorites. You actually, you bring it up every time. You're like, Case 39, we're going to have to talk about Case for 39, right? Because it's so incompetent.
It is.
It was such a surprise because it's so incompetently made. It's a terrible copycat of The Ring, and it just wastes, so not just Renee Zellweger and Bradley Cooper, Ian McShane.
Mm-hmm.
It just wastes a remarkable cast.
And I don't know why, if this is why Bradley Cooper was in it. They were dating for a while.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what, or I don't know if they met on this. I don't know.
Because it's a pretty small and entirely thankless role.
Yeah.
And he was easily, in 2009, much too big of a star to be in it.
I know. I remember thinking that at the time. What is he doing? Because his star was really on the rise. And, of course, he is up this year for Best Actor for Maestro. And I'm going to go off on my Bradley Cooper tangent here because I think he is so good and I think he is still almost criminally underrated. I mean, why he didn't get nominated for director for Maestro is beyond me. It is a fantastic movie and a great directorial effort. I mean, he did a great job on A Star Is Born directing, but this is a big leap. A big leap. It's so ambitious. It's so big and showy, as it should be for the subject matter of the film. But he gives a great performance, so he got nominated for that. I'm glad. And the film got nominated for Best Film. Glad about that too. But man, he's a really good director.
It's a funny thing. I think underrated is the wrong word because he gets nominated for something almost every year.
I know.
But he has such haters. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
There are so many people who just seem needlessly venomous.
I know. I was reading
him.
one just the other day on social media where a guy was just going off about how much overacting Bradley Cooper's doing in this movie. Like, he's playing a real life person who was over the top in his personality.
Yeah.
I don't get that. He's doing it on purpose. I think he's great.
And I agree with you. I mean, I don't know that I would have given him a nomination for director, but I might have. But it's a stunning achievement in direction.
It is.
It really is.
It is.
And the only reason I potentially wouldn't would just be because there are so many others. But they were worse snubs in the category.
There were.
I think.
I'll give you
that.
that.
I agree with you. It's a gorgeous movie, and it is a tremendous directing feat.
Yeah.
The way that each stage of Bernstein's life gets a whole new look, a whole new aspect ratio,
it's
different
amazing.
everything. Yeah,
it's amazing.
And just quickly, he's nominated alongside Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction.
See, those,
stacked.
God, those are
stacked.
So stacked.
Yeah.
All of those
Yeah.
could deserve to win.
Oh, my
All
God,
of them.
yes.
I mean, if I'm voting for Cillian Murphy. Now you think he's going to win because of SAG. I still think, I'm just going with my gut right here, and I could change.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I still think Paul Giamatti's going to win. I do, which would be fine with me because he's great.
Right. I mean, I would absolutely vote. My vote would be for Cillian Murphy. And it's interesting to compare the two and my second vote would probably be for Paul Giamatti because I love him, because I cannot believe he hasn't won an Oscar yet. And because the truth is, he's only ever been nominated for the one film I hate.
I know, Cinderella Man.
Cinderella Man. So
he didn't get nominated for Sideways. He didn't get nominated for American Splendor.
I know.
Yeah, he's been great.
Startling to me. And so, it would not break my heart. But we've talked about this before with also, I think the two that are neck and neck would be Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone.
Exactly the same.
They're amazing performances. One is so external and the other is so internal.
Right.
So Cillian Murphy is so internal. Lily Gladstone is so internal. I don't know how that is done. I can't imagine how you figure out how to carry a film. And they both do beautifully, and you have to express almost everything just with your face, and they both do. So for me, those performances are more impressive because of that, but they're also easier to overlook because the very external performances, Giamatti, brilliant, Emma Stone, brilliant, but they're easier to hang on to when you watch them.
Yeah, and I don't know if we brought up the other Best Actress nominees when we're talking about Annette Bening, but she's Lily Gladstone won last night, the SAGs, up against Emma Stone, Annette Bening from Maestro.
Carey Mulligan.
From Maestro, Carey Mulligan, and
Sandra Huller.
And Sandra. See, all very, very good. But I think the two front runners are Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone. And exactly right.
Yeah.
One is so outward and so showy, and one is so internal. And actually, Carey Mulligan's is very internal as well.
It is.
Not quite as much as Lily Gladstone. But so I think the two front runners, Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone. Now, after last night, I'm thinking maybe Lily has the inside track on the Oscar.
I think she's going to win, yeah.
And again, if I were voting, as good as they both are, I'd probably vote for Lily Gladstone because Emma just won not too long ago. I don't know if those things come into play. People vote how they vote for many reasons. But, Lily Gladstone was so great.
Yeah, Lily Gladstone would have my vote because I'm so the word impressed is not nearly strong enough by those internal performances. I mean, I'm so just dumbfounded at how you can do it without without being showy, and yet I can't take my eyes off you, and you tell me so much without saying anything. I don't know how it's done, and I'm so amazed by those performances.
But then you read quotes from Yorgos Lanthimos
Oh my God.
about how they had to film out of sequence of Poor Things, which meant Emma Stone had to change the level of development that her character had from one scene to the next. Like, oh my God, how did you do that?
Right, because of course they shot everything that's in the house, right? They shot all of that. You shoot according to your scene, like your location. So they shot the whole beginning where she's essentially an infant, right, in an adult's body, and the whole end, the end of her arc, interchangeably in the very beginning of the film. I don't even know. That is insane.
That just adds more fuel to the fact that what a fantastic performance. And it's another stacked category. But anyway, we kind of got off the track.
That's right.
But
because we're talking about Bradley Cooper.
Because we're talking about Bradley Cooper. That's right. Holy crap, what happened? The point is, Case 39 is a mess.
It is a mess.
And it features a young actor playing the part of Lilith Sullivan, and both Chloe Grace Moretz and Isabel Furman from The Orphan.
Wow.
They were both considered for that role, and which is sort of a coincidence because the movie opened in the States anyway the same week as Chloe's Let Me In, which is much, much better.
Oh, my God.
Much better.
So good. You know what, though? I think that the reason that it went to the actor that it went to is because she looks so much like Samara in The Ring.
Yeah.
She looks very much like her. She's small, and she's got that long, long dark hair. It's just such a bad... And then, oh, my God, and then they only employ digital effects one time, really, and it's so bad. It's so embarrassing. This movie is so terrible. But here's what I want. One of the reasons that I'm always happy when Bradley Cooper gets nominated is because he's made a whole bunch of really bad horror movies. It's like back when Clooney would get nominated every year. I'm like, woohoo, because we can talk about another one.
Grizzly 2.
Clooney made a lot of bad horror. And yeah, Bradley Cooper also made, we talked about last year, My Little Eye, which is not good. Midnight Meat Train. It's also not good, although it is much beloved.
It has become a cult favorite.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
And then also, he's a great movie. He's a voice in the great movie 10 Cloverfield Lane. He's not physically in it, but his voice is in it.
Just for a little bit. But Case 39, that's one that is just, why?
It's embarrassing.
It is. It really, it's so boring and such, like you said, such a lame, a wet rag kind of copycat of The Ring. And not good. And a skeleton for Bradley Cooper. We think. I don't know how he feels about it. That's number 3 from 2009. Okay, moving up to number 2, and this features Oscar nominee this year for Best Supporting Actress, Emily Blunt. Upon his return to his ancestral homeland, an American man is bitten and subsequently cursed by a werewolf, 2010's The Wolfman.
She exerts enormous power, doesn't she?
Do you believe in curses?
Run free. Kill or be killed. It is glorious, isn't it?
We were very, very much excited back in 2010 to see this, and then we were not.
No. Real quickly, I want to run, because we haven't talked about the supporting actress nominees. So, America Ferrara is nominated for Barbie.
Yeah.
Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple.
Yeah.
Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. I think that's the lockiest lock in the entire setup right there. Emily Blunt, of course, for Oppenheimer, and Jodie Foster for Naiad.
All good.
All so good.
But I think you're right. I think it's pretty much of a lock, especially after last night. Divine Joy Randolph won, and she gave a great speech, by the way.
Yes, she did.
So I think that's like Robert Downey Jr. are pretty well locked in.
And that would be
really
my
surprised.
vote
Me
as
too.
well, actually.
Me too.
And we said it 15 minutes into The Holdovers. We're like, damn, I think that's an Oscar nomination waiting to happen. She's amazing.
I agree.
And yeah, The Wolfman, this has so many great people in it. So many of our favorites in it. Benicio del Toro. And but right away, he's playing Anthony Hopkins' son. You're like, I'm sorry, what? What? And of course, Emily Blunt, who's great. Hugo Weaving is in it as well. And it, it's just terrible. And of course, it's directed by Joe Johnston, who made The Rocketeer, who made Jumanji, but he's also made mostly bad movies. This the worst.
Yeah, I do sort of like. I mean, the look of it, I think fits
until the effects kick in.
Until the effects at the end. But we were really excited about it, the casting, because obviously if you're going to cast a Latter-day Wolfman, who's hairier than Benicio del Toro, really?
He's already halfway
but
to the
he's a great
transformation.
actor. I mean, he's a great actor.
He's one of the all-time great actors.
But this was really, really a disappointment. And it's one actually, and I just saw somebody on social media the other day was remarking how they watched it again for the first time in a long time, and we're thinking, it's not so bad. I'm like,
no,
okay, no, this got pretty ridiculous. I think there were some good ideas, there were some good intentions. And I don't know if it's one of
borrowed, you know, and that's. I mean, when you're first of all, it's attempting to be a remake of the Lon Chaney Junior Wolfman.
Yep.
So obviously there are going to be some borrowed ideas, and then they borrow from a lot of other the classic Wolfman movies. And Hopkins, so often when he's in a horror movie, like in Bram Stoker's Dracula, and in a lot of them, he's so hammy.
Yeah.
And he absolutely is here. He's super hammy. But I do want to say, Emily Blunt does a fine job. She does a really good job in this movie.
Yeah, we used to say all the time, and really this was true up until she was in that sequel to the Snow White movie.
Yeah.
She had chemistry with every single person.
Yeah.
And the Snow White movie just fell apart. And
Which is crazy if you think about it, because
I
it was
know.
her, Charlize Theron, Jessica Chastain.
Yeah.
3 amazing actors, and they didn't.
Yeah,
They didn't.
it was weird.
They had
all
no
great.
chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Emily Blunt is almost always good,
Yes,
even
yeah.
when the movie's bad. And yeah, that is the case here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's something about it. It sort of has the feeling of maybe too many cooks in the kitchen, maybe studio people getting involved.
Could be.
And I don't know, but it was interesting, during a speech 2011 at the Savannah Film Festival, the president and chief operating officer of Universal, Ron Meyer, said that this movie was one of the 2 worst movies that Universal Pictures had ever made.
What's the other one?
Yeah, the other one, Babe, Pig in the City.
What?
I know. So at one half of his comment, you're like, all right, what's the other one? But no, not Babe, Pig in the City.
No, not Babe, Pig in the City.
That's really
I think
weird.
that man's dumb.
And also, if you've seen the director's cut only, you get Max von Sydow in an uncredited cameo that tries to link this to Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Wow.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Just in the uncredited cameo in the director's
crazy
cut.
Because now I almost want to subject myself to this movie
I
again
know.
to see that. Brotherhood of the Wolf, I love.
Yeah, exactly.
Really quickly though, Emily Blunt, she's done plenty of horror movies. Now, obviously, The Quiet Place and Quiet Place 2, obviously, and the upcoming Quiet Place 3. But there's a pretty good horror movie from probably, it strikes me as like the first decade of the 2000s. I forget exactly, but it's called Wind Chill, and she's like a college student, and she accepts like a ride share with a guy who quietly is trying to romance her, and it does get kind of creepy, and it's not brilliant, but it's pretty good. So if you haven't seen it, Wind Chill is worth a look, especially if you are an Emily Blunt fan.
All right, so that's number 2 on our Skeletons in the Closet for this year, and we did talk about who she's up against, right?
We did, yeah.
Okay, so we don't think she's going to win. We think
don't.
Divine Joy Randolph
Yes,
is going to win.
yes.
But they're all good, as pretty much every category this year, as we talked about. Good stuff. So moving up to number 1, there can only be one. And this one was from 1996, and I got to be honest, this one slipped past me. This is Oscar nominee Ryan Gosling. Teenager Earl has a vivid imagination fueled by movies like Frankenstein and Night of the Living Dead in Frankenstein and Me.
Look, you don't have to come.
Okay, it's just that all the kids at school say he does the weirdest things.
Yeah, well, all the kids at school don't know him, and neither do you. I mean, you've been here for a week. Give him a chance.
I will. It's just all this monster stuff is so gross.
That's exactly what my grandfather says about the stone. What's going on?
It's gonna be a present for Dad. Who's she?
Oh, this is Karen. She's from Ohio. We're going together.
Where are you going?
She's his girlfriend, dummy.
Oh.
Hi.
It's cool. Oh, yeah. What are you doing for Halloween?
Just trick-or-treating, I guess.
Oh, no, man. Because there's this really, really scary picture playing at the drive-in that night.
I know. Night of the Living Dead.
I'm there. You with me?
It's hard to find this. If you want to find it, you can find a version of it on YouTube that shows the whole movie as it was aired on the Disney Channel, and so it includes. They're not really commercials, but they're segments in between that talk about other Disney stuff that you can watch. And that's how I rewatched it.
And of course, pretty much everybody knows Ryan Gosling came out of the Disney Club or what the New Mouseketeer Club or whatever the heck it was called.
But this is his first feature.
I know. So he sort of took that, the Disney, what were they? What am I? The Mouseketeers, right? Because he was in there with Britney and Justin Timberlake, and then he went into films with this.
Yes. And Burt Reynolds is in this one.
Oscar nominee Burt Reynolds and Oscar winner Louise Fletcher.
Yeah. And you know what? Louise Fletcher. Boy, it's just another one of those roles where you're like, she took a lot of thankless roles after winning an Oscar, and this is one of those. She's just this sort of battle axe that everybody hates. And Gosling is not the lead. He's not Earl, and he's not Earl's younger brother. He's their friend who has a girlfriend. And it's funny because none of that is explained at all. You don't there's no real reason for that. But I tell you what, the movie is a chore to watch. But he's a charmer.
Yeah,
he
always is.
He is. I mean, his character amounts to really not being necessary at all in the entire film, although he does pop up pretty often, and so that's nice. And he's a delight.
Well, he's another one that seems, although he's been nominated quite a few times, he's another one that seems a little bit underappreciated. When we talked about Bradley Cooper, and I know Ryan Gosling has not started directing yet. Maybe he will. But, man, he's good every time. He's good in comedies. He's so funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
Oh,
his comic timing is spot on.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Watch
It's
The
perfect.
Nice Guys.
Oh,
Just watch The Nice
Guys. Holy cow.
And his comedic performance in Barbie is great. But he's also great in dramas.
Oh, my God,
He's
yes.
always good.
Yeah, he's absolutely one of the most talented actors working.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. And he's not one yet, although he's been this is at least his fourth Oscar nomination.
Yeah, but again, we think he's not going to win here.
No.
We talked about that before.
Well, the Academy so rarely acknowledges an outright comedy performance, and that's what especially the movie is a comedy, but his performance in particular is just hilarious.
Yeah, but I still think they will this year. I still think Giamatti's going to get it for a comedic performances. But you're right. Overall, usually a comedic performance does not win.
No, I do want to say though. So Gosling, he's no stranger to horror. So he made this movie called Stay, which is pretty mediocre, but one of the reasons it's worth mentioning is because Sterling K. Brown, fellow nominee, is also in that. But it wasn't nearly bad enough to make the list because I like to do a two-for when I can. And then also the fairly mediocre Murder by Numbers, which is Sandra Bullock, but it's also Michael Pitt.
Right.
So he and Michael Pitt play. It's a story that's been made like 100 times into movie, including the Hitchcock movie Rope. And he and Michael Pitt, Tommy Gnosis. They play the killers. And the movie is not very good, but again, he's good and Michael Pitt is good, and they're a good pairing. I liked them, the two of them in that movie.
Also, I know for this one, Frankenstein and Me, again, we said it was 1996, and you wanted to give a shout-out to the worst actor of the 1990s.
Yes, and I feel bad saying it, but her name is Miriam Sear, and she plays the kid's mother, Burt Reynolds' wife. And I remember at first not realizing at the first dinner scene that they were supposed to be husband and wife because she seemed maybe old enough to be these boys' mother, but she seemed clearly young enough to be Burt Reynolds' daughter, clearly. But then after the shock of that wore off, I remember thinking, oh my God, she's just terrible. She's just terrible. And I apologize to her for being so, but this is not a good movie, and she really stands out.
So a big skeleton in the closet, at least for the movie. Maybe not the performance of young Ryan Gosling.
No.
He's
a delight.
Kicking off his movie career, but it's number one this year on our list of skeletons in the closet. Frankenstein and Me from 96. Look it up. Okay. Looking ahead to next time, we're going to be back at Gateway Film Center, where we love to be for our March Fright Club Live. That's going to be Friday, March 8th. And what are we doing?
Well, we're going to show the movie Splinter, which
Nice.
is a really fun creature feature. I mean, it's
Oh,
not.
yeah, I remember.
It's not a comedy when I say fun, but I love a creature feature.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about parasites and horror. And of course, as you know, George, we've started showing short films in advance of the feature films. And we're going to show a very, very funny horror comedy called Born Again.
Yes.
Director and a good friend of our, Jason Tosteman's film. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, Jason was one of the, co-star and producer on Obstacle Corps. And also Randall, who was a co-star in Obstacle Corps.
It stars in this movie.
And it's really funny.
And Tiffany.
Oh, yeah, Tiffany, also a co-star. They play a couple.
In our film.
In our film, Obstacle Corps.
Yeah.
But this
They're more
is,
adversarial in Born Again.
Yeah, this is really funny. Well written, well acted, well shot. And this is going to be, I think a lot of people probably being in Columbus probably will have seen it already.
Maybe.
But for the ones that haven't, this will be fun, and especially seeing it on the big screen.
So Randall Greenland and Tiffany Kiley. Maybe we should probably say their last names.
Oh, did
we know them by their first names.
Yeah.
You may not.
Just check the credits of Obstacle Corps. But yeah, that'll be good. That'll be on Friday, March 8th. So that's the next Fright Club Live. And the next time we'll be in the studio later in March, we're going to do a Make Good.
We are. We were supposed to have our friend Jamie Ray from Fave 5 from Fans on, quite a few months ago. I think it was November. I know it was November because I was so sick.
Yeah, as you have, this whole winter for you has sucked.
It has sucked.
You have gone from one illness to another.
I know.
And we're coming out of it now. We're feeling good.
That's
It's spring. The sun's shining. We're ready for health and well-being, and we're going to talk to Jamie
That's right.
about telephones. Yeah, that was the one. I remember, because I remember when I messaged him and told him that we weren't going to do it because you were probably still actively vomiting at the moment. At the moment. And he's like, oh, well, no. But we love Jamie, and that is going to be fun, so we'll talk about telephones. So a lot going on, but right now it's all about Oscars coming up on March 10th. By the way, speaking of Oscars and podcasts, we're also very excited because we're going to make our yearly appearance on our buddy Dino Tripodis' podcast, Whiskey Business.
That's right.
A really fun podcast, and they have us on every year about this time, Dino and John and Greg, to talk about the Oscars.
Right.
And Dino is
Give our predictions.
Dino is a member of SAG.
Right.
He's an actor working on his latest film right now. They're getting ready to shoot called Down to the Felt, which we look forward to very much. But anyway, so he has us on every year. We drink a little whiskey, talk some Oscars.
I mainly drink Diet Pepsi. I'm not really a whiskey drinker, to be honest with you.
So we'll be taping that and then let you know when that's going to be out, but that'll be soon. So all about Oscars right now. But what do you think? Disagree? Maybe you love some of these movies. I know there's some love for, at least I saw some, like I mentioned the other day, for The Wolfman. But let us know. Some like.
There's some ambivalence.
Or maybe there's some even we missed.
That's right.
Maybe you know a skeleton that we haven't uncovered, some other closet we haven't opened.
No, please tell us.
Let us know.
We would be excited to learn.
We want to know. You can find us easily at Fright Club Pod. That's on Twitter. Also, madwolf.com is the main website. Mad Wolf Columbus on Facebook and Instagram and Threads. And we got the dedicated Fright Club podcast group, invite only, on Facebook. So join. We'd love to have you. Just put a request in and boom, we'll get you involved. And that's always fun. We talk about the movies. We have some fun. We, of course, share memes. That's always good. And just keep up on the news and keep up on the fright clubbiness of it all. Just made up that word. So, keep in touch if you can. Enjoy the movies. Enjoy the Oscars.
Do it.
Feel free to debate them. Let's do it. Ignore the haters. We like this. We like to argue about it. Who got snubbed? Who deserves more, and we'll see who's going to get the hardware come March 10th. But again, keep in touch if you can. Have a great week, and until we do this again, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Fright Club Podcast.
Hello, darling. This is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And stay frightful, my friends.